and we're so glad that you could join us this evening. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Husani? Here. Trustee Gutierrez? Here. Trustee Kunkel? Here. Trustee Bancole?
Here.
Trustee Prigi?
Here.
And President Pro Term Porter.
Here.
Thank you.
Would you join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to start our day with a couple of presentations. Once again, thank you all for attending. It's wonderful to see people in the audience and coming and showing the civic pride by joining us as we meet for these bi-monthly board meetings. Yes. And so can I have a motion, please, to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Is it moved and seconded? Please call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
And Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask members of the CIDC if they would join me. And if Margaret, will please join me, please, as we make this presentation.
Barbara is here.
Margaret? They're all coming. Trustee Porter, would you like the microphone? Are you gonna grab them?
Today we're here to give observance to the Holocaust, an event that will always remain in our memory. And I just wanted to just state that from a personal perspective, the Jewish community has played a significant and admirable role in the civil rights movement, standing shoulder to shoulder with African Americans in the fight against racial justice. Their contribution, both in terms of activism and financial support, showcase the power of solidarity across communities. Together, African Americans and the Jewish community made strides toward a more inclusive and equitable society, leaving a lasting legacy of collaboration in the pursuit for civil rights for all. I wanted to mention that because this week we're also celebrating the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I just think that it is quite appropriate that we mention that the civil rights movement was fueled, aided, and abetted by the contributions of our Jewish community. So with that, we want to read this proclamation, and we have the rabbi. Would you?
Right here in the booth.
Is where? Please join us. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, what's your name?
I'm Margaret Frisch-Klein, the rabbi of the area, but our synagogue is in Elgin, and we have brought Deborah Arndt with us, who is the daughter of Holocaust survivors.
Well, why don't you two come, and then we're all going to take pictures, but you two join me as I read this proclamation. Whereas this year, on International Holocaust Remembrance Day, we commemorate the 79th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And whereas the 27th is designated by the United Nations General Assembly as International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and whereas the purpose of International Holocaust Remembrance Day is to serve as a date of official commemoration of the victims of the Nazi regime and to promote Holocaust education throughout the world. And whereas We, the people of the village of Hanover Park, always remember the terrible events of the Holocaust and remain vigilant against hatred, persecution, and tyranny. And whereas this remembrance has been set aside for the people of the village of Hanover Park to remember the victims of the Holocaust, as well as reflect on the need for respect of all people. And now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, Mayor of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby proclaim January 27th as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in memory of the victims of the Holocaust and in honor of the survivors, as well as the rescuers and liberators, and further proclaim that we, as residents of the Village of Hanover Park, should work to promote human dignity and confront hate when and wherever it occurs, dated this 18th day of January, 2024. And would you like, either of you like to make comments to this event?
I'm going to say one thing. I appreciate the comments that I just heard, and I think that people should remember that none of us are alone, and we help each other, and that's important to recognize.
Thank you. Rabbi?
I find this particularly touching at this moment we all find ourselves in with, unfortunately, rising anti-Semitism and rising racism and hate crimes against people. Your words at the beginning about Martin Luther King and the role that the Jewish communities played were particularly on point this year, so I thank you for that. If some of you have no idea what we're talking about or why this is important, because I had a marketing background before I was a rabbi, ECC and U46 is doing a special 3-part thing next week where you can actually hear survivors speak. So I can forward that to, whose email do I have? Okay. And if you can spread that word, that would be great. And it's not a program that I'm running, so, but this is that week. So thank you very much for all of this. And I don't see Rodney here, is that correct?
He's out of town.
He's out of town, okay.
I'm humbly standing in his stead.
Ah, okay. Okay, well, thank him and thank your whole committee for putting this together. It's a lot of work, I know, to put one of these together.
And thank you for your kind words.
Yeah, please stay, we're going to take pictures.
Like a rabbi and a mic. To the officers who are here, as somebody who runs the safety and security for our congregation, thank you all for all of the work that you all do. I'm a police chaplain. I cut the police chaplain meeting today. But if you ever need anything in that regard, please let me know.
And I just want to once again thank the CIDC committee for putting this together. Thank you for joining us for this. You can give them an applause. That's worth it. They put in a lot of hard work to make this happen. And on a final note, if you're interested in learning more about the Holocaust, there's an excellent museum in Skokie, the Holocaust Museum. I visited that. It is it's heart-wrenching, I guess is the right word. Go there, but prepare to be educated and prepare to be moved as you learn about all of the events, the fateful events and the consequences and the suffering and the triumph of an amazing people. So I would encourage you all to, especially maybe during this week, is an excellent week to go and visit the Holocaust Museum in Skokie. It's worth the trip. Next, we have a proclamation honoring the service of Officer Tom Lang Henry, Did I pronounce that right, Tom? Oh, great. Okay, come on up, buddy. How are you? Good to see you. Man, you've been with us that long? You don't look that old. How did you do that? Whereas Tom Lang Henry began his career on October 7th, 1996, making him the longest tenured officer in the village today. How does that feel? And whereas Tom has served as a patrol officer, detective, and member of the department's crisis resolution SWAT team, and whereas Tom was also assigned as a field training officer, helping to develop newly hired police officers, and you leave a long legacy of absolutely fine officers here serving the village of Hanover Park, and we're so grateful for your service. And whereas during his career, Tom received numerous letters of recognition and thank you letters from citizens. He was also recognized for his DUI enforcement efforts by the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists, and whereas Tom received a life-saving award for his efforts to rescue an individual suffering from a drug overdose, and whereas the Village of Hanover Park would like to recognize Tom Lang Henry, who is retiring on January 17th after 27 years of dedicated service with the village. I think that deserves a round of applause. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, President of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby thank Tom Lang Henry for his commitment to the Village of Hanover Park and urge all to congratulate him for his many years of dedication to the people of Hanover Park, dedicated this 18th day of January, 2024. Sir, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Chief, do you have any words?
Take a picture.
Okay.
Thank you very much for everything you've done. Congratulations.
Let's take a picture, Tom.
Oh, absolutely.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we now are our town hall session. If anyone wishes to address the board, please sign in and state your willingness or wanting to do so. We have Hank Romero, who has signed in to address the board. Please, Hank, come forward.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everybody. It's a good day. We're still here. The show must go on. So anyway, all men are not created equal. When we say all men are created equal, that means that we all have a right to live. Nobody can take our lives because we're all created equal. We all have a right to live. One guy who's black told me that Northern Africa was all Jewish, and the Jewish blacks in America are Jewish or Israelis. But you got to realize Israelis are all different colors too. And Michael Jordan. I mean, I don't know. That sounds like from that area. But anyway, the points I want to bring up, I spoke before, and the chief told me about some things about the rules. And you know, if we have a parade or we have a concert, yeah, I was afraid that, you know, that the government's going to take, not the police officers, but the politicians going to take our weapons away from us. But I won't have to worry about that because this is America. You know, it ain't going to happen. But But I do feel that, you know, if a lot of people get hurt in concerts, you know, one guy goes nuts, and a lot of lives are taken, maybe it would happen where our weapons be taken away from us. And, you know, like in Cuba, for instance, a police officer goes to end his shift, he turns his pistol to the guy who comes in, and he takes the pistol, and so nobody's outside the police department's armed. Controlling of the people. Freedom of fear, you know, freedom of fear is fear because you got to be cautious, you got to be careful. Or freedom of fear is really freedom. You know, if nobody's going to hurt me, then I'm free. What else can I tell you? I'm just concerned about, you know, weapons taken away, but it's not going to happen. If it does happen, because a lot of people go nuts, and then they have to do it. But we'll see what happens. Women, every 45 seconds in America, a woman gets forced. I was thinking, you know, if they have a pistol with them, they can protect themselves, and probably half of them are, I mean, it didn't say in the library here in Hanover Park, it just said 45 seconds. You know, probably half of them are, you know, from guys they know. My third thing is bullfighters. It's not bullfighter. A bullfighter, you know, what a way to make a living. The horns are probably going, you know, and you got to be tall, because sometimes they put their heads down like this, so sometimes the bull goes through the flag and goes up. It can get you on the neck, and they put their heads down. What a way to make a living. And the horns are probably like going 6 inches from the chest. And, well, I guess some of those women like it. But, you know, what a way to make a living. But matador doesn't stand for bullfighter, it stands for killer. Literally translates to that. And I do feel that we've been at too many wars, and that's why I probably wouldn't want to use the word killer, want to use the word bullfighter. And the show must go on, so if I got something else to come up with, I'll be here next month. And then a couple of weeks, I mean, the first week, the first Thursday, or the third Thursday. So if I come up with something else, you know, I'll come and talk.
I'm sure you will. Thank you, Hank.
And remember, when I said the show, I'm not saying that we're entertaining people. I'm saying that, you know, life must go on.
At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve by omnibus vote the items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
So
Trustee,
those are, just so we know, those are items 7A1 through 7A13.
yes.
Would you, based on the previous request, could you just read through those
Yep.
for the purpose of those who might be listening in?
7A1, move to approve the minutes of the special board workshop meeting on October 5th, 2023. 7A2, move to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting on December 7th, 2023. 7A3, move to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting on December 21st, 2023. 7A4, motion to approve a purchase order of Safe Build Illinois LLC in the amount of $50,550 for professional servicing to contracted inspections and authorizing the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 7A5, move to pass an ordinance amending subdivision A of Division 2 of Article 9 of Chapter 62 of the Municipal Code of Hanover Park as amended by providing for daily parking fees only without specific parking spaces allocation for parking at the village commuter parking facility serving Metra Hanover Park Station. 7A6, motion to approve the service agreement in the amount of $63,660 to Vitalent Services LLC for the purchase of equipment and software necessary to outfit 3 police department vehicles with LPR capabilities for enforcement of the village purposes by pay-by-plate system in the Metra lot and authorizing the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 7A7, motion to proceed with payment of the Markham Construction for the removal of spoil material for the Bayside dump site to Bluff City Materials, Inc. for $25,128.75, and to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 7A8, motion to approve the proposal for engineering assistance with BLA, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $90,100, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 7A9, motion to approve a purchase order in the amount of $48,607 to the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group, registering 2024 dues and special conditions project fund. 7A10, motion to approve proposal for RJN Group, Inc. for professional engineering services related to the inspection of the village's Jefferson Lift Station sanitary force main in the amount of $71,000, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 7A11, move to accept the proposal for RJN Group for professional engineering services related to MWRD Priority Area Sanitation Sewer Evaluation Survey and additional sanitation sewer services in the amount not to exceed $64,274, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. 7A12, motion to approve the proposal for RJN Group to provide construction engineering and managed services in the amount not to exceed $49,500 for the Northway Force Main Replacement Project, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. And 7A13, move to pass an ordinance fixing the salary and deferred compensation of the village manager.
Thank you.
Can I take roll?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
And Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Wonderful. 7A14.
7A14, a motion to remove from the table the authorization for the village manager to enter into an agreement for lobbying services with Roger C. Marquardt and Company Incorporated for a period of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024 in the amount of $24,000.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Vote?
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes. 7A15, if the motion to remove from the table passes, move to authorize the village manager to enter into an agreement for lobbying services with Roger C. Marquardt and Company Incorporated for a period of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024 in the amount of $24,000, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Secretary, please call the vote.
Any discussion?
Discussion?
I'm sorry, is there any discussion?
No.
I just assume there's no discussion
Great.
in the first part, yeah.
Great. Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A16, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize the purchase of desks, chairs, cabinets, conference room tables, kitchen tables, and other office accessories from Interiors for Business Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $42,464.24, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A 2/3 vote of the corporate authority is required. Is there any discussion?
Prigi? I have Prigi is one.
Move.
Is there a motion? Motion is seconded?
Yes.
Yeah, any discussion? Hearing none, now, Madam Secretary, can you call the vote?
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A17, motion to pass an ordinance authorizing a First Amendment to the FY 2024 budget of the Village of Hanover Park. A 2/3 vote of the corporate authority is needed.
So moved.
Second?
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the vote.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 718, motion to authorize the emergency repairs to the well pump and pump assembly of well number 3 to Water Well Solutions for an amount up to $70,000 and to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A 2/3 vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, is there any discussion?
No.
No, please call the vote.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A19, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize the purchase of a 2023 F-250 pickup truck from Friendly Ford in an amount not to exceed $56,069 and to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A 2/3 vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Discussion?
Yes, I have a question. Why are we replacing the F-250?
In this particular instance, this vehicle is going to be kept in the fleet as other vehicles move out. What we do is vehicles spend a particular amount of time in what we refer to as frontline service. Then they'll move into secondary service. And for the entire time that they're in frontline service, we sort of do it as a reverse lease. We're actually paying ourselves into the vehicle replacement fund for the eventual replacement of that vehicle. That vehicle has now reached an age where it's time to be, I'll use the word replaced. The current vehicle will continue in service with the village. A new vehicle will be brought in to take its place here. So this is a standard practice that we use. And then at the bottom of the chain, because there's a long chain, then a vehicle will move out of the village fleet at some point this year once all of the vehicles have been put in place. So in the future, you'll see, and it could be this summer actually, you'll see another agenda item from me requesting disposal. We just did this about a month ago, where I'll have a list of 15 vehicles or whatever that is being removed from the village fleet.
Thank you.
TJ, you know, I'm always, my eyebrows always raised whenever we
Yes.
waive competitive bidding for these major purchases. And I know that this is part of the consortium, I guess, with the Northwest Managers Conference. It's purchased under that agreement?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct, where we,
Not this one.
This one, so we have multiple vehicles being purchased tonight, so maybe I'll just speak broadly about it. We still sort of live in bizarro world with the purchasing of vehicles. And we have instances where we can purchase vehicles on a cooperative. Very often, we use the Northwest Municipal Conference. In fact, almost always we use the Northwest Municipal Conference for our regular duty vehicles. So Fords, police interceptors, pickups, things like that, even into the dump trucks. It's different with the fire apparatus. However, we're running into times right now where we need vehicles, but there is no cooperative purchasing available. And you're going to see a couple of vehicles tonight where we've gone to, in this case, Friendly Ford and Roselle, and they've given us a discounted price. However, there is no, for certain vehicles, let's say F-150s and F-250s, for example, in some instances, there are no cooperative purchases available right now. In fact, I'll just jump ahead, if you don't mind.
sure.
Oh, I gotta know. So anyway, this one, I believe, is on a cooperative with the Northwest Municipal Conference, but others this evening are a little different. And we can talk about those.
Okay, and I guess then my question always comes up, seeing that this is not part of the cooperative. What is our assurance that when we don't go out to competitive bidding, that we are getting the best price possible for the village without the advantage or the going through the motions of competitive bidding?
On this one, and this is different than the other ones. This is a vehicle that we've had a hard time finding. We found a dealer that had two, and they said they would hold until after tonight, one of them for us. So I think if we went out, it's not as much the price as our ability to find one and get one. We're still, as TJ said, in that short supply mode of vehicles that meet our needs. And so they're holding this one at this particular dealership for us until tomorrow.
And what's our history of purchases with Friendly Ford? I mean, do we
I don't
do
know
a
if
lot
we
of
have.
business with them, or?
I don't believe we've ever
think we've
purchased from Friendly Ford before, simply because we usually purchase off cooperative, and in most instances, the largest dealers are able to provide the volume pricing on the cooperative.
And as TJ said, we've already paid for this vehicle into the vehicle replacement fund, so the funds are there for this vehicle. We're replacing a 2012 Ford truck that has 47,800 miles, and it is going to continue in the fleet in a different role, so.
It's a
That's
2012,
2012
right? Yeah,
vehicle.
with 47,000 miles on it. Okay. To my untrained ears, that sounds like pretty low mileage for a 2012, but as you're the managers of the fleet, I would.
Well, this one, but a lot of times we don't get the miles on it, they sit and run. TJ can speak to that along, but
I've got
they
a
just
great
sit.
example coming up in a minute.
Okay. Any other questions? Madam Secretary, call the vote, please.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Great. 7A20.
7A20, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize the purchase of a 2024 Ford Transit van from Curry Motors in an amount not to exceed $48,905, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A 2/3 vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there a discussion? TJ, is this the one that you wanted to interject on, or is that a?
Only briefly, sir.
Yes.
We've been trying to replace this vehicle for a couple of years. If you were to see the existing building maintenance van, you'd say that doesn't have very many miles on it at all. And yet, the floor has already rusted through it. It pretty much just drives between our facilities, which doesn't put a lot of miles on it. But the use that vehicle has had, and I mean, we literally had to pull it in and take apart the front end because when we lifted up the floor mat, you could see light. You could see the asphalt underneath the vehicle. It's an incredibly high-use vehicle, but if you were to simply go by the miles, it's relatively low miles. It's shocking sometimes.
What do you attribute the rust and the wear and tear on the floorboards of a vehicle that's not on the road like that?
It's still being used massively because it's a work truck. It's basically a moving garage that is used every day for hours and hours and hours every day. It's one of our highest use vehicles, but it moves between the 3 buildings on this campus, and it moves between the farthest it'll go is Bayside once or twice a month, but it's at the fire stations and it's here. So it's being used constantly. If you're at our civic events, it's probably one of the vehicles you've been next to most often. But it's low miles, but it's incredibly high usage.
So this vehicle was approved by the board to purchase last year. We placed the order. It was canceled because they couldn't get the vehicle. It was part of the budget amendment earlier on this agenda, and so we're asking you to reauthorize the purchase this year in 2024.
Any other discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the vote.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. Item number 7A21, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize the purchase of 8 new Ford vehicles from Curry Motor in an amount not to exceed $417,397.96, and to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A two-third vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any comments, TJ, on this?
No, sir.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the vote.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Kriegi?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Thank you.
7A22, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize the purchase of a 2024 Ford F-450 cab and chassis from Sutton Ford in an amount not to exceed $52,299, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A two-thirds vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the vote.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Kriegi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A23, motion to waive competitive bidding and award the purchase of 2 Lucas Mechanical CPR devices to Stryker in the amount of $54,114.94, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A two-thirds vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the vote.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Kriegi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A24, move to waive competitive bidding and award the purchase of 30 automatic external defibrillators from Stryker in the amount of $69,831.16, and authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents. A two-thirds vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved.
Second.
It's properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Kriegi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Thank you.
7A25, move to waive competitive bidding and award the purchase of 12 Lion Gear Structural Firefighting Protective Equipment Ensembles, PPE, to Dinges Fire Company for an amount not to exceed $74,328. A two-thirds vote of the corporate authority is required.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Trustee Kriegi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A26, move to approve warrant 11824 in the amount of $3,186,016.52.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the vote.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Kriegi?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A27, move to approve the warrant paid in advance 12/16/2023 through 1/12/2024 in the amount of $1,479,639.71.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Kriegi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
Yes. 7A28, approve November 2023 P cards in the amount of $17,118.17.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Frigie?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter.
Yes. Thank you. Item number 8, the village manager's report.
No report.
No report, oh. Item number 9, the village clerk's report.
Just Happy New Year.
Wow.
All I got today.
We're on course to break Rick Roberts' record. We're moving
With a big,
pretty fast. Item number 10, the corporation council's report.
Well, it's the first meeting of 2024, and I just want to wish everyone, again, a good and healthy new year.
Thank you, sir. Village trustees report. Trustee Syed Husseini.
Just want to wish everybody a happy new year. No report.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Lisa Gutierrez.
You guys are putting pressure on me. Be fast.
Cover
Yes,
up
Maine,
the
do you
time.
feel that? Do you feel the pressure, man? So I'll be short. Three little things. It was an honor to attend the DuPage County MLK breakfast. I was starstruck. Myself and the village mayor were there, and Trustee Bancole, and I got to meet someone that I've heard about a lot, Bob Zellner, who was portrayed in the movie Sons of the South, and so I was a little bit starstruck. I wasn't talking much, but Yasmin was able to intercede and speak to someone who has really laid the foundation. This gentleman, this white brother, as he calls himself, was arrested and beat 19 times with Dr. King, and he suffered brain damage because of it. So to see him still around walking and still fighting for what is right is amazing. Real quickly, February 6th, POC is partnering with Legal Aid Chicago, Representative State Fred Crespo's office, of which one of his office managers is here. Zach, thank you for being here. As well as Christina Castro and Michelle Mussman, Representative Michelle Mussman, and the commissioner for the 15th district, currently Kevin Morrison in the Park District, are putting together an expungement event, February 6th. I left this all for you guys to see it as well, and I shared it with our chief so that we can get the word out. February 6th, from 6:30 to 8:30 here in town at the Hanover Park District. So if you know of anybody that could use these services, please share it with them. It's a free event. And then on January 31st, I have the honor to be on the panel of Cook County United Against Hate film screening of the movie Refugee. And so this is with Commissioner Scott Britton and Representative Nabila Syed, and we'll be screening the movie Refugee and having a panel. This movie explores the development of a relationship between a former white nationalist leader and a Muslim cardiologist. It'll be playing in Glenview, but we've got flyers in case you need them. That's it. Thank you.
I guess I'm next. I just want to say that I too had the opportunity to attend the MLK breakfast in Hoffman Estates. We were joined by our Congressman Roger Christian Murphy and our state rep Michelle Mussman and our Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison. It was their 20th anniversary of putting on that event, and it was very moving and very well attended on. What everyone who got up that morning and went out must say that it was, I think, 12 below zero when we pulled out of the driveway on that day. So it took a lot of commitment. I rolled over twice and hit the snooze button on my alarm before I finally forced myself to say, you got to go and do this. So in memory of and respect for everything that the civil rights movement and those people endured, I said, the least I can do is get up out of bed and go to this breakfast. So I was able to attend, and I was glad that I was able to. I think it's so important this year especially that we remember the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Our nation is at a tipping point. There are so many things that are going on that are seeking to destroy this experiment in democracy, which was founded in 1776. And let me admit that it is an experiment in democracy. And Ben Franklin, I think, most famously said it's a great idea if you can keep it, if you can hold on to it. And we are struggling today to hold on to our democracy. There's an assault on history that is going on, that is attempting to rewrite history, which will have very dangerous consequences. Individual freedoms are being attacked, and there's a concerted effort to divide us. And I think in the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, who was a Baptist preacher at his core, more than anything else, he was a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is a gospel of love and inclusion and tolerance. And what we see going on in our nation today is certainly seems to be anything but that. And we must fight those urgency, those people who would urge us and prompt us to turn our backs against each other, to rise up against each other, to break those bonds that has always been the strength of America. The theme of America is e pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. And we must always remember that immigrants, all of us were immigrants, came from another land to this country, other than the enslaved people who were brought here and captured. But the majority of us were immigrants, and we came here and we found a way to wove a tapestry of unity and cooperation and togetherness. And that has to be the way that we look forward. So again, it was a very marvelous day, a very warming and heartfelt commemoration of a man whose legacy will live on forever in the history of the United States. Trustee John Kunkel.
Yeah, the only thing I have is don't make snow angels in a dog park. I want to give everybody a laugh. That was a serious talk over there from her, so I just want to give everybody a laugh. I have no report.
That was good. Good, thanks.
Oh, man,
So,
John.
I
You hit me with that one, John. I don't know where to go from that. Don't make snow angels in the dog park.
Wait
Such
for the-
sage advice.
Yeah. Just want to get everybody to laugh a little bit right now.
Trustee Van Colen, can you continue on after that?
I don't think so, sorry. My report won't be as short, so I apologize for breaking the streak. But actually, you know what, I think Trustee Porter broke the streak, so.
Yeah.
As Trustee Gutierrez mentioned earlier, myself, Mayor Craig, and Trustee Gutierrez were able to attend the DuPage County MLK breakfast. I did want to mention that this breakfast hadn't been an active event for many years. It was the first time they brought back this event in a number of years, and over 1,200 people showed up at 7 a.m. And I was just astounded. The room was so full. The message that was provided was so meaningful, and as Trustee Gutierrez mentioned, the incredible Bob Zellner, who truly is an American hero, was able to receive an award and provide brief remarks. So I'm really, really always thankful to attend these breakfasts and events that celebrate Reverend Martin Luther King. And hope that we can continue to use the time on that day, not only for service, but for remembrance and for really trying to just be our best selves. Moving along, I was able to attend a ride-along with a member of our Public Works team, and I just wanted to, I think the saying is tip my hat or give my thanks to the incredible Public Works Director, TJ Moore, and the wonderful Public Works team that he runs, because I'd never been on a ride-along before, and a ride-along is going in the big, very big pickup car that does all the snow plowing and the salting for our neighborhood streets. I'd never been on one of these ride-alongs, and I was so impressed with the methodology, with the technique that was used, all the different things that go into maneuvering the streets, the different rules. how effective we are, how quick we are, how good we are. So I'm just so thankful to our Public Works team on these really snowy days, on these days where we receive, so much snow, on these really cold days. I'm forever grateful. So tip my hat off to you, TJ. Thank you. Also wanted to mention that yesterday I was able to attend an art meeting. Those are our area response.
Team.
What is it? Team, thank you. Area response team meetings that are put on by our police department. And I think a lot of our residents forget that these meetings happen. They happen on a quarterly basis. So I did just want to provide a reminder. A lot of really great information is provided. We talk about the different officers that are assigned to the neighborhood that you live in, just the data in regards to activity within the village. But we also spent some time talking about the different technologies that we've introduced into the police department and all the tools that we're using to continue to keep our residents safe. So again, those meetings happen on a quarterly basis, and I would always encourage our residents to attend. And I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Prigge?
Yeah, I was going to thank the crews that cleaned the streets and all that, but she beat me to it, so that'll take care of it for me too as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Once again, I just want to thank everyone that attended. Rabbi, thank you for your presence. You honor us by coming to receive the proclamation. Thank you very much. There's no executive session. I'll obtain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Madam Secretary?
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigge?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Kunkel?
Yes.
And Trustee Porter?
We are adjourned.
7:52.